I can pick my nose because nobody can see. All right, pjnet.tv. It is 9 p.m. on the East Coast of Florida, of the United States, actually. And if that's what time it is and you're watching this, well, you're watching it live. If not, you're watching a recorded version. Either way, you are going to be thrilled. The first of our two guests is awaiting us in the green room, and we're recording this. It's streaming to Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and points unknown. We'll start a countdown to Studio 33 Alpha starting, well, now. Hey, good evening, and welcome to pjnet.tv, like it says right there and right there. You know, I'm so glad you're here. Before we get started, let me remind you of something really outstanding. I'm going to actually switch to the live chat room as people are logging in as we speak. If you're not joining our chat room fellowship, you could actually be in the chat room and yes, watch the video at the same time. It's actually playing in there, so you wouldn't miss anything, and you will be joining the sweetest fellowship on the internet, the best kept secret on the internet. In fact, if you're not there, you're probably doing the internet wrong entirely and need to get over there. A lot of friends waiting to meet and greet you. Tonight is a special night because we have a first-time guest. And the only thing better than a first-time guest is a second-time guest that came back. And many actually do. But I don't have a choice in the matter. I have to be here, and I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. Now, let me tell you about Christine Trimpe, and it's spelled with an E at the end. So don't get stumped on the E at the end. It's Trimpe, like shrimp, and Christine joins us because our associate producer, Barbara Byers, chased her down and held her knees to her chest and said, is that how it happened, Christine, or was it perhaps a little bit more subtle?
Maybe a little bit more subtle from Barbara, yeah.
Yeah. Now, you have a friend that appeared not too long ago, and you're involved in, and it's an acronym, the AC, what is it? The Advanced whatever.
Yeah, AWSA, Advanced Writers and Speakers Association. Mm-hmm.
So, and word got out that if you'll get on PJNet, that you will sell thousands and thousands and thousands of books, something to that effect.
Wow.
And
yeah,
wouldn't that be something?
Yes.
As you can tell, Christine has a book cover on the wall behind us. And I hope you enjoy seeing it because you can't buy it right now. So what do they do?
Well, I am taking pre-orders, and they will be in the reader's hands before the devotional starts on December 1st.
Okay. And folks, Christine has obviously she has a book, and we'll talk more about the book at the end of the program. But Christine and I share a journey. She's like my sister I've just never met. Because I don't know how long ago it was, but a long time ago we'd have had to have the camera pan back a little further because there was so much more of you to see. You lost, do I understand it correctly, 100 pounds?
Yes, I lost, I was on a weight loss journey for a little over a year and lost 100 pounds, yes. Mm-hmm.
How old were you when this started?
I was just about to turn 50, and at the age of 49, I started getting some very unsettling health diagnoses like non-alcoholic fatty liver disease and sleep apnea and painful cyst. And so I was thinking about the fact that I'm going to be turning 50 soon and all those scary diagnoses, and also having lived in obesity, morbid obesity for 30 years, I decided before I turned 50 that I was going to take back control.
Now, folks, I won't ask her to stand up, but I have been told that she is a whopping 5 foot 1 inch in altitude.
Yes.
So at your maximum weight at 5 foot 1, how heavy were you?
I didn't weigh myself a whole lot during that time, but I went back and looked. I was afraid to get on the scale and I was
Mhm.
afraid to see what the doctors would say to me. But, at my highest weight, I was anywhere between 230 and up north of that. So, um, and many times over the decades, tried to lose weight on my own, went up and down, up and down. It was just a roller coaster for so many years.
And it takes a toll, when you do, or especially as we approach the later years in our life.
Hmm.
And when you're younger, you can ignore it easier, or you can compensate for it easier, I should say. But then simple matters like getting out of a car that's loaded, a
Hmm.
Corvette, you have to give that some thought. You have to turn first and then hook your elbow to the side of the door and kind of. Did you notice yourself making compensatory measures consciously?
Oh, most definitely. One of the things I wanted to do, I asked my husband, our bedroom is upstairs. And I'm like, can we move our bedroom downstairs? Because I was tired of going up and down the stairs. And so that didn't happen because shortly before that was going to happen, I started on this journey and my life just completely changed and transformed. And now I have no trouble going up and down the stairs to my bedroom. So that's a good thing.
I have no trouble coming downstairs, when food's ready, dinner's ready. It's like,
Mm,
boom, I can move
yeah.
then.
Yeah.
Sleeping is also an issue that obesity takes a toll on.
Hmm. Most definitely. That is the first thing that I decided to take back control of. My husband and I had gone on a 25th anniversary trip to Colorado, and I couldn't hike in the mountains with him. I left, like, my saddest day was the day that I told him to go ahead and go up the trail at Bear Lake in Rocky Mountain National Park because I just couldn't go any further. So I sat on the side of that trail, and that really was my turning point. And I knew I had to do something. And at the time, I was snoring a lot,
Hmm.
like,
Yeah,
yeah. And he
yeah.
told me about it a lot, especially when we were traveling and we didn't have the fan noise to drown out my snoring and stuff like that. But so I knew that when I got home, the very first day that I got home, I called a sleep doctor because I knew that sleep is was going to be one of the most important things that I needed to fix. I had put it off for years because I knew I would be diagnosed with obstructive sleep apnea. I didn't want to wear a CPAP, but I have to tell you in hindsight that CPAP really changed my life. It was like the best thing that I could have done.
Really.
And yeah, and I actually once I started sleeping better, which happened very quickly, once I started got the machine, brought the machine home, it really changed my life. It started giving me a little bit more energy during the day, and it started lifting a little bit of my brain fog that I had from lack of sleep. And yeah, that was the very first step that I took to turn my life around, was fixing my sleep.
I want to go back to that moment you described at Bear Lake in
Hmm.
Colorado. You're on your
Hmm.
25th wedding anniversary, and you're struggling. The air's thinner up there, and it's
Hmm.
I can just picture it. And I don't know your husband. Describe the emotions, not only yours, but he must have struggled when he's told to go ahead. I mean,
Yeah.
that must have been a come to Jesus moment.
Yeah, most definitely was. He said, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" He didn't want to leave me behind. And personally, I was making excuses about the altitude, like, yeah, I just can't breathe because of the altitude. But the fact is, it was because I was 100 pounds overweight. And so I sat on that side of the mountain, and believe it or not, I have a picture of that. I have a picture of me sitting on this stump, but I only took the picture halfway up, and I'm like looking up at the sky. And there was all kinds of very hard, difficult emotions going through my mind at the time. And I had sunglasses on, and I'm actually writing about this in my book about my physical and emotional and spiritual healing journey. I had tears in my eyes, but you couldn't see it because I had my sunglasses on. So I
And
do write about
there's
that.
yeah, there's
Hmm.
not much humidity up there, so the tears evaporate quickly, and
Right.
Did it
Yeah.
occur to you that, as you were planning this 25th wedding anniversary hiking in the mountains, that might be problematic?
It did a little bit, but that was actually the first time my husband had been to Colorado, so I didn't know what he would want to do. So hiking wasn't really something that we did a lot of because of my health, and we didn't travel a lot at the time.
Well, and
So
you live in Michigan. Where's
yeah,
there? There's
there's not a
nowhere to
lot of
go.
mountains here.
There's
Right.
nothing to do over there.
Oh, no, no, that's not true. We have a beautiful northern Michigan. Absolutely beautiful. So if you ever have the chance to go up there, take advantage of that.
Well, I'll
Hmm.
hike up there.
Hmm.
I was told in a program here about a week or so ago, there's a difference between a hike and a walk. Is there?
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Yeah, most definitely. I hike in Colorado now. I hiked the Wicklow Mountains in Ireland after I got healthy and lost my weight. There's definitely a difference between hiking and walking. More around here where I live, the state parks and stuff would be more walking because there's not very big change in elevation or anything.
Yeah. So
Hmm.
there's this moment at Bear Lake, Colorado,
Hmm. Hmm.
that you come to that crisis,
Hmm.
decision time. So you made a decision at that point. Now the strategy. How do you get from 100 pounds
Yeah. Yeah.
up? How, what were some of the strategies that you pursued?
Well, first of all, I have to give credit and all glory to Jesus because I finally decided to give up control of everything that I had tried unsuccessfully, every failure I had year after year trying to lose weight. It wasn't like I never tried to lose weight. It just I needed a new strategy and I asked for that, show me the way, give me something different because all the things I had tried in the past, like Weight Watchers and the protein shake diets and all that, medically supervised programs, they just didn't work because at the time when they would put me back into maintenance, they were reintroducing foods like potatoes and whole wheat bread and whole wheat pasta. And I discovered in this journey through asking, God for guidance, He slowly took me step by step in learning about my hormones and what was happening behind the scenes with my insulin hormone, which is the fat storing hormone. And once I learned how to lower my insulin level and reduce my blood sugar, I was pre-diabetic too at the time. Doctors always told me when I went into their office that you're pre-diabetic, you're one blood test away from being diagnosed as a type 2 diabetic. But once I learned what was happening with my insulin hormone, then I feel like he guided me step by step through each part of the journey. Fixed my sleep. Okay, now the next step I have to do, I have to start quitting sugar. And so I did that slowly, step by step, until I finally got to the point where I learned and landed on a ketogenic lifestyle with intermittent fasting. And that is exactly what my metabolism needed. Because as soon as I switched to that way of eating, my life changed drastically. My health changed drastically, not only physically, but more importantly, emotionally and spiritually. I just had, it was like a light bulb that just clicked, like brain fog completely lifted and I just had a new passion for so much in life that I, I call it a miracle. I truly do. After 30 years of trying and failing and suffering for so long and trying the same things over and over again and getting the same result and ending up right back where I was, and then finally, crying out to God and asking Him to give me something different. And at the time, it was like the best kept secret. I'd never even heard the word keto or ketogenic diet at the time or low carb lifestyle. So that was good news.
I can imagine.
Hmm.
Not that there's that many people that watch this, but I can imagine in trying to minister to somebody that's seeing this, whether you see it now or 10 years from now, the same truth will be apparent.
Hmm.
The person that's overweight doesn't need to know they're overweight because they already do.
Hmm.
And I can remember struggling, staying up at night, and as a coach and as a person dedicated to self improvement, when you have this you know. And I can remember watching these infomercial type things that, tell you all the stuff you've been told is wrong. What you need is a secret magic fruit from Borneo, or this pill. We're only doing the,
Mhm.
and they go to great lengths to convince you that there's some easy, fast way out of this mess that it took you a long time to get into.
Right.
If someone out there is being lured to that kind of stuff, what advice would you offer them?
Well, first of all, I did try a lot of like those medical programs. Like I drank liquid shakes, liquid protein shakes for 10 months at one time. But what I've discovered is that eating whole foods, protein focused, healthy fats focused, low carb is has changed my life. And I don't eat boxed food. I don't take pills. I don't do anything like that. And it just all came down to eating from God's bounty, what he provides for us, and in closest to the purest form that I can get it. That's why I don't eat fruit a lot, because I feel like our fruit has been changed and they're just like little sugar bombs. But for the most part,
Hmm.
I don't eat anything out of a box, nothing factory produced, just whole foods.
Well, you raise a good point there, because one of the things,
Hmm.
I was on the South Beach diet. This is not an endorsement for or commercial for. There, the principles are the things you need to take away. But there was a
Right.
principle in South Beach diet that said, look at it. Does this look like God made it or not? you know.
Yeah.
So how do
Hmm.
you look at a hot dog, and say, yeah, I see those out in the woods all
Right.
the time, and
Yeah.
uh, but grains, of course, if
Hmm.
you're diabetic, we try to stay away from grains,
Right. Hmm.
because I had to learn so much, and I'm not a dumb guy. I can fly airplanes, and
Hmm.
program computers, but I didn't realize
Yeah.
how much of our diet is in fact sugar.
Yeah.
When you eat,
And,
oh, I'm going to have some good healthy corn.
or Cheerios.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
and people would say, well, I eat these fruits, dried fruit, because that's a complex carbohydrate. Well, it's like, well, but your bloodstream doesn't know that. It knows it
Yeah.
is a carbohydrate. That's all it
Right.
knows. There
Right.
aren't, or, oh, you can. I've even heard that there's a certain type of honey that doesn't raise your blood sugar. I'm like,
Yeah.
really? Because
Yeah.
I, when I was on this thing, I mean, I was in a hurry, and I would literally break out in a cold sweat, and my
Hmm.
blood pressure would go low, and I would grab honey, and that will jack it up, buddy.
Yeah.
That will send
Yeah.
your blood sugar through the ceiling right now,
Right.
right
Right.
now. And I can remember I almost didn't make it, almost passed out.
Yeah.
Folks, by the way, I lost 95 pounds in 90 days, and I was about 100 pounds overweight. I went from 266 down to 171 in 90 days. Now, I do not recommend that, but I think the reason I bring that up is the battle is only partly calories, sugar, fat. The
Hmm.
battle, the real battle, is spiritual. It's psychological.
Hmm.
It's spiritual.
Hmm.
How
Yeah.
how was your spiritual life back on the hiking
Yeah.
trail of Bear Lake in Colorado compared to where it is now?
Yeah. It was definitely, I identified myself as, at that time, as a casual Christian. I was raised in the church. I did all the right things. I took my kids to church when they were little. I went to church off and on, but I didn't have a deep and abiding passion for God's word. I read his word, maybe bi-weekly to get ready for my Bible study. And now that's completely changed my life. Every day I wake up first thing in the morning and I spend time in quiet time in his word with him. And that's really that is really what has changed my life. Um, I like to say that Jesus completely flipped the cravings of my life. When Paul talks in Ephesians 2 about, our fleshly cravings, I was craving all the wrong things. I was addicted to food. I craved comfort, materialism, everything because I
Hmm.
had all of these things separating me from Christ. And then he flipped my cravings and I no longer eat bread, but he flipped my cravings for my sole desire is the bread of life is in him, so that is that is the thing that's the reason I'm writing books and speaking and I just have to share that because the fruits of the spirit are the fruits that I enjoy now, and joy is my favorite. Joy is my jam, so I love to talk about joy.
Okay, folks, our time is up, but we're going to go a few extra minutes because there's just so much that Christine has to share. You are one of the few authors. All authors say they're speakers, but you actually see speaking as a major part of your ministry in spite of COVID.
Hmm.
But you're speaking, you're sharing, and we've only got a couple minutes. But could you share a little bit about your professional journey? You've recently, uh, what's the word? I don't want to say quit. Tell us
Yeah,
what happened. Tell-
I did quit. I spent 32 years in an accounting career, and as the Lord took me through this journey of healing, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, He started putting on my heart that I had to share this. I just couldn't keep it quiet. When you have joy, it's contagious. So I knew that He was calling me to speak and to write first, and then I love connecting with people. So the speaking just came naturally.
okay. Uh, and there is a mute button on below. You see Ron Gallagher over there, but there's a little speaker icon. You can mute that if that sound is causing you to be confused.
Okay, yep,
Yeah, it's crazy.
got it.
Advent, Seeking Joy. This will break on December 1st in time for the Advent season. The book is designed for Advent. In 1 minute,
Yeah.
tell us about the Advent season and how this book can amplify your Advent experience.
Okay, what I love about Advent is the expectation and like the breathless anticipation. So every year I've been journeying through the Gospel of Luke. Luke has 24 chapters. December has 24 days before Christmas. And so this book was birthed out of a season of the weariness that we were all in last year. And the lyrics from Oh Holy Night, The Weary World
Mm.
Rejoices, reminded me and reminds everybody that, yes, even when we're living in an unusual Christmas season, there is always joy. We can always find joy in the happy and the hard times.
Christine, I wish we had more time.
Yeah.
I want to say this. I'm really, really proud of you. I'm really proud not
Oh,
only of what you've done in terms of setting a goal, turning your life around. I mean, I
hmm
do know how
yeah.
hard that is. It's actually
hmm
it's all worth it.
hmm
But very few people are able to do that, and actually everyone is able to do that. Very few people do.
Yes. Right.
So I congratulate
Right.
you. I also am proud of you for putting your words in this book, and I'm proud of you for trying to take the message. It's not your usual 3 point sermon that you're going to find on sermon.com or whatever. But to take your journey and share with women, because I think that being obese is an insidious disease that
hmm
that weighs heavily on the hearts of all of us, and it's one of our own creation. It's one that we can control, but yet very few people do. And the benefits emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, the physical benefits are obvious. We all know those.
hmm
But well, I'm a coach. I just like to win.
Yeah.
Not just win. I want to
Yeah.
run the score up.
Yeah.
To prove a point.
Yeah.
But you have proven the point and proven it well. And congratulations. And let's see you again, maybe after Christmas, after your book comes out, and get an update at that point. And we'll share more then. But thanks for sharing with us tonight,
Sounds
Christine. We
good.
enjoyed it.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you so much, Mark.
Glad to do it. Folks, there you see. There. One of many cameras that orbit the pjnet.tv broadcast facilities from which this program originates. Folks, I wish we had more time. Christine's got such a powerful, it's more than a testimony. It's something that I think that seems, well, we don't have time. Oh, gosh. Hey, listen, Ron Gallagher will be joining us at the bottom of the hour. He's already in our green room. And for those of you who have heard him speak on this program before, you know that you are in for a ride. There is no way that you will be disappointed. Now, before he comes on, we're going to try to get him on at the bottom of the hour. We're probably going to be late. But I have to ask you 2 questions. Actually, I don't have to ask you the questions. I want you to ask the questions to yourself and answer them honestly. What is the boldest thing that you've ever done for Jesus Christ? And how long ago was it? Whatever it is, spiritual battle, weight loss, financial trouble, health problems, relationships, requires courage. So I hope that none of us will be satisfied with our answer to either of those 2 questions.